Hello, ladies and gentlemen. MarauderEX here with a video rant. I don't know what this is going to be. I don't know. So, more NX rumors. I don't talk about NX rumors quite often because it's been all over the place. It's a thing. But this rumor comes from Eurogamer. They're actually pretty reputable. Like, they believe the Neo and the Scorpio, or whatever the next iterations of PS4 and Xbox, like that, they were very adamant about that being a thing. So, and a lot of this is stuff that there's a lot of things they're saying, things that I've heard other people say. Yeah, there's a high likelihood of this, and that people I trust who've worked in the industry before saying this is what I would expect it to be. So, yeah, let's take a quick minute to talk about what this current rumor is. They're basically saying it is imagine like a screen, but it's got little things on the sides that attach to it that form the controller base, so that you've got all of your face buttons and whatnot, and then you've got the screen itself. So kind of like a Wii U tablet, but maybe I would imagine smaller given the size of the tablet. And that is the console in itself. It is focused on mobile gaming, but it also has a docking station that allows you to attach it so that you can output to your TV, and then you have, a controller that you use for that. So this is pretty much the rumors that I've been hearing for the last year almost. Like, this is everything that I've seen on it and everything that people have told me. It's like, this is where we're kind of focusing this on, where we think this is going, is a console portable hybrid. And it's funny because I scoffed at this idea because one of the crazy Sega fans said that this was going to be Sega's next console. It was going to be a tablet console hybrid, and it was going to be super powerful. And looking at like all of his series, the console had a definite identity crisis, which I was like, I can kind of see the same thing happening if Nintendo did this. And I've been thinking about that for the last year. But the longer I think about it, the more I realize Nintendo dominates the mobile space. They have for a while. And the Game Boy has it's been synonymous with portable gaming since, the late 80s. But, now that with the rise of mobile phone gaming, and Nintendo's getting in on that as well, you've got, Miitomo and Pokemon Go and things like that. So they do have a foot in the door. And I keep thinking about the PS Vita. I never picked up a PS Vita. It didn't seem cost effective to me. Most of the games that were on it were also on the PS3 or, somewhere else. So I never really picked up a Vita. It was always very expensive. You had proprietary memory. It seemed silly to me right off the bat to go for the Vita. But I was very impressed with the Vita as a piece of hardware. Sony was always very good about having their portable gaming device exceptionally powerful. The PSP was leaps and bounds more powerful than what Nintendo had out at the time. Like, you had the DS. It's like, yeah, the DS is nice, it's interesting, but the PSP is far more powerful. But I think that was what killed it, because you had all this power, no one really utilizing the power for any particular reason. And then you had the same thing with the Vita. The Vita was exceptionally powerful. It had amazing graphical capability. It had a decent battery life for what it was outputting, so there was no reason on paper that it shouldn't have done well, but it's still going against Nintendo's stranglehold on that particular market. So I keep thinking, if Nintendo pulled a Vita, this is what it would be. And a Vita that actually connects to the TV, so you can, pop it down on, I guess, the docking station. Hopefully it functions as like a charge station as well, so that it charges it so that it's ready to take on the go. But you can play it on your TV, because that's one of the things that I loved about the PSP is video output, because there are a ton of really good games on the PSP that I would love to Let's Play. And I can on the PSP. PS Vita, I can't, unless I emulate or get the game on another console. because no one's really done a PS Vita capture card. And that's one of the things that I really disliked about the DS. And 3DS is the only way to do that, to Let's Play games like that, is to send it off to have a capture card installed in it. Nowadays, on the new 3DS rather, there is the beginnings of software capture device. It's very interesting, but it's still in its early stages, and now it probably will be grossly eclipsed by this. Because if this is what it is, everyone's saying, oh, the NX won't replace the Wii U or the 3DS. Yeah, it kind of will. Anyone who believes otherwise really has not paid attention to Nintendo's history. Once they come out with a new thing that even remotely resembles an old thing, they drop support of the old thing, because there's no reason to keep two things concurrent when one of them is, drastically inferior in one way, shape, or form. So, the theories and the rumors presented about the NX, again, these are things that I've heard for about a year now. I've heard a lot of variations on it, so none of this seems in any way surprising to me. But because it's being posted on Eurogamer, like I said, they have a pretty decent track record, so I tend to trust their ideas and their statements of, we're not presenting this as 100% fact, but this is the information that we've got and we're able to compile based off of people we've talked to. And usually the people they talk to are people who've had some sort of hands-on on it and are, very secretively saying, hey, yes, this is what I know about it. Don't quote me on this because of an NDA. That's how the industry works. Journalism has been, since Watergate and Deep Throat. Don't quote me on this because I don't want to be a target. Or I don't want to lose my job, in this case. So, the NX being a console handheld hybrid, not a new thing. It's also stating that it's going to use a physical cartridge type media, much like the current DS line or something similar. Also, not really new. People have pulled the patent, copyright, and trademark information on a lot of things, specifically Zelda, and a lot of it has mentioned to a cartridge, where it's a definite change in wording between Nintendo's previous paperwork filings for games that did not have a cartridge medium. So, also not all that surprising. Where a lot of people are starting to talk about this is the hardware that they're talking about being put in it is the Tegra X2, I believe, is the chip that they've said. NVIDIA's Tegra, which is similar to what they use on the NVIDIA Shield. So the NVIDIA Shield, it's an impressive piece of technology. I have not picked one up myself because I personally don't have much of a need for one, but I know people who have really enjoyed it. And if it's the X2, which is the next generation of what they've gotten a lot of this, I'm not all that concerned. Nintendo's never been one to say, hey, we're going to go for the highest end graphics. They go for an innovation in this. Like the Mario 64 was an innovation in graphics, but they didn't see that as an innovation in graphics. They saw that as an innovation in gaming. And they've never really seen that graphics equal gaming. That's never been their mentality. But, again, if this device is anywhere as powerful as a PS Vita, the PS Vita was getting PS3 ports. So, if this is in the same ballpark, I could see it getting... It's not going to get, huge top-of-the-line graphics, but depending on its architecture, but depending on how it's designed to be developed on, I could see it getting slightly scaled down ports of games, depending on the game itself. I don't think you're going to get Crisis level graphics out of it, but I don't know enough about the hardware to say, oh yes, this is going to be able to provide 6 billion teraflops per nanometer sec. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know the hardware, but I'm just basing my perception of this off of what technology we currently have available and how it's been implemented, and to see how it could be adjusted for this. I said, PS Vita had incredible graphic capabilities, and that came out several years ago. I don't see any reason why a new, piece of hardware can't do the same thing. It's not going to be on par with, the Neo or Scorpio by any stretch of the imagination, but no console is. Like, that's we have a definitive hierarchy of how technology works. You've got PCs, which are, we'll say the top of the line because they are the most moddable, most interchangeable. You have the most control over those set components, so you can get the highest end components for that. And then you've got consoles, which you lose the ability to pick and choose, but they have a set graphical set of guidelines. This is how a game is going to perform. And then you've got a handheld, which is a fraction of that. And then you've got mobile, which is a fraction of that. And that's how it works. You have a hierarchy. So yes, the portable aspect of it does kind of cut some of the games, but I don't see why. Like, Marvel vs. Capcom on the PS Vita looked just as pretty as Marvel vs. Capcom on the PS3. Just the only difference is you were playing it on a screen like that big. So maybe if you could take that screen that's that big and blow it up to a screen that's that big on your TV, that would have been a little more interesting. And then there is the Nintendo handheld history anyway. A lot of games that I enjoy, a lot of JRPG style games, have been starting to focus on handhelds because it's cheaper to develop for. You don't have to. A lot of games, the Etrian Odyssey games, for example, these are games that go toward handheld because you don't want to spend all of your time bogged down in some, graphic fidelity. You just want, interesting gameplay that's easy to pick up and play. And that I really can't say is a bad thing. That's a completely different argument for a completely different day, though. But I can see this being an interesting thing. I can see the pros and cons to this. I know a lot of people were really hyped that Nintendo was finally going to come out with a console that was going to be graphically, powerfully on par with their competitors. But again, Nintendo's history, that's never really been their thing. It hasn't. They go for gameplay innovation, which not always the best, but it makes other people a little, antsy. The Wii, everyone thought the Wii was going to flop, and then the Wii became a huge ticket item, and so much so that everyone else started adopting the motion controls. Motion controls are still available on your PS4, and I hate it. I hate it. Playing Grand Kingdom, I press it, and it's like, oh yes, I'm controlling a cursor. No, I don't want to do that. No. But you can't say that it wasn't an innovation. It caused everyone else to have a reactionary change to their development philosophy of, we need to have motion control like yesterday. So I'm reserving judgment specifically until Nintendo releases their own statement, so that we can see the specific specifications for the unit without just saying, oh yes, it's using this particular chip, which means it's going to be this level of stronger or weaker than Y, X greater than or equal to Y, that sort of thing, until we see the full specs, until we see what it actually is capable of doing. Because, again, to someone, I know there are a bunch of people out there who can sit here and say, oh yes, these specific hardware configurations, this is going to be their highest end, this is going to be their lowest end, so the average is going to be about here. I know there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be able to break that down, but it also is going to boil down to the games. I don't particularly care about having, a console that can do, everything on the upper range, but if they don't actually do things on the upper range, if everyone just kind of does the middle or low ground, then that doesn't matter to me. I'm going to care about how the games play, and what games are offered. So that's my take on it. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. So I want to know your thoughts on the NX rumors. How do you feel about a console portable hybrid? Do you care that if it's, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% weaker than the competitors, but if it gets the same games that are just, ported differently? Because that's another thing, is if it allows the games to be scaled down without having to be completely rewritten. Because I think that was a big problem with the Wii U, is that it's so different that no one wants to scale the games down that much, because they'd have to rewrite so much of it. But say it's like, oh, well, we can just remove X, Y, and Z, and it's still a good gameplay representation. Is that acceptable? Like, is that okay with gamers these days? I don't know. Would that be something you would care about? If, say the texture packs on the NX version is not quite up to par with like the PS4 or Xbox One, but it's the exact same game. Does that make or break the experience for you? Or the fact that now you can take that game, but again, lower texture pack, but say you're playing, Skyrim 12, and you want to go on the go. Oh, I've got to go, but I don't want to take my console with me because I'm on a TV, or I've got to go take a flight somewhere. I'm sitting in the airport for a while, or you live in a city and you have to take like the subway or some sort of mass transit to and from. Because that's one of the things that it's a big deal in Japan, is console gaming not quite as popular because more people are out and about. So portable is kind of where it's been at for a while. So there's a whole lot of mystery to this, but then there's a lot of interesting shifts in the market and the industry. Why keep developing for high-end consoles when people aren't playing on high-end consoles as much? If you want high-end, why not go for PC? But if you want, ease of mobility, you go with a portable or a mobile. There's an interesting shift in gaming, and I think Nintendo actually sees it, and I think everyone else either sees it or doesn't want to acknowledge it, or they're not convinced that it's going to be as big of a shift. So, I don't know. I'm going to see how it plays out. Right now, the last game I'm going to be picking up on the Wii U is Legend of Zelda, and I probably won't pick up an NX at launch, because burn me once, shame on you, burn me twice, shame on me. So I'm going to wait and see what games come out on the NX before I make that distinction of whether or not I will purchase it. But if Nintendo is aiming to be the secondary console instead of the primary, we want you to be able to take your primary games on the go, just maybe not as pretty as playing them at home. That's an interesting concept. Or if they're just saying, hey, you want these high-end games on PS4 or Xbox, but we're going to give you like some really great mobile options that you can also play on your TV if you're at home and don't want to play on a small screen. That's also different. This is so different that I don't really know how to connect it. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinions on the NX about this particular leak. I'm curious as to how people are piecing this together. And if there's more information not listed in the Eurogamer or NeoGAF threads, I'd love to see it if anyone has some more information on it. So, yeah, that's it. So let me know your thoughts on the NX. Interested, intrigued, confused, a little scared, maybe angry, maybe just very apathetic. Wide range of emotions right now. So let me know. Till then, later everyone.